Good morning, everybody, and happy Sunday. How's everybody doing today? So I think I'd have to go back and look, but this is either 3 weeks or a month that we've been doing this. I can't remember if it's 3 weeks or a month, but if it's a month, that's great. And if you've been watching the entire time, thank you. I have gotten a ton out of doing this. I've enjoyed it going through, and I'm not going to stop. But it's kind of amazing how quickly things go by and how quickly you can develop new habits. So one of the habits that I'm working on developing even more is reading. I love reading, and I try to do it as much as I can, but I must admit I'm not as great at doing it as I would like to be. But there was a book that I was thinking about the other day that I think is really pertinent to this time. It's called Wild. And by the way, when you're picking books, I like the books that are written by somebody who actually did what they're writing. You know, when it comes to a story of self-discovery, you know, there's a lot of books out there about something like that. The ones that are kind of made up, you know, I mean, I don't think those have quite as much to offer as the ones where the person writing the book is the one that actually did what's going on, and they're telling you their story because everybody has lessons that they can gain. So in this book, Wild, this lady who changes her name to Cheryl Strayed comes from, and I'm not going to spoil the whole thing for you. I would really encourage you to look at this book, but she comes from a difficult family, father not very present. Mother is a lovely person, but a mess, I guess, would be an easy way to put it. And she ends up, our main character ends up, really not in a lot of great life situations. There's drugs, there's lots of men. And then there's an event with her mom, which I don't want to spoil. Her mom goes away. And so she's kind of left in the middle of nowhere with nothing, trying to figure out what am I going to do with my life? And she's very lost. So she decides to walk what's called the Pacific Coast Trail. And the Pacific Coast Trail runs the entire length of the United States. It goes from Mexico all the way up to Canada. So not only is it an incredible physical act to try to hike this thing, but it takes some skill because you've got to do it at the right time. There's weather, there's animals, food, there's places along the way to stop and help take care of yourself. But I mean, this is like deciding one day that you're going to go hike this trail is like waking up one morning and saying, I'm going to go run a marathon today. I mean, is it possible to do that? Yeah, it's possible. But is that the way to go? Not necessarily, but that's what our character does. And like I said, her name is not Cheryl Strayed at the time, but she changes her name to Cheryl Strayed as she's walking up the Pacific Coast Trail. The majority of the book is her adventures on the Pacific Coast Trail, and this is a true story. And what she learns along the way. Again, I'm not going to spoil any of that, but a movie was made out of this starring Reese Witherspoon. But as we sit here and think about our Sunday and moving forward into the next week, our world is going to start opening back up. Many states are open completely. A lot of states are starting to open. We're in the middle of May. We know that Illinois is going to start opening in zones. We don't know exactly what that means yet, but we know that there's going to be another new normal, and forward we go as we face this challenge of a virus still being around and the economics of what has happened. There's going to be a lot of different things in the world for all of us to navigate. As she gets to the end of this book, and they also show it in the movie, there's this wonderful moment where our main character, Cheryl Strayed, makes a decision to forgive herself for everything that's happened in her life, and to decide that everything that's happened in her life has led her to this point and was a lesson that she needed to learn. She says to herself, what if heroin taught me something? What if all the different men that I was with was a lesson that I needed, or something that I needed to do in order to be able to prepare myself for a real relationship? She talks to us about what her future actually holds, because she writes the book years later and tells you what happens from this point forward after she makes this decision. And she makes the decision to forgive her mother. She makes the decision to forgive the rest of the members of her family. And she makes the decision to forgive herself. And it changes her life dramatically and for the positive in a huge way. So what if today you made a decision that everything that you'd ever done in your life was to bring you to this moment, so that from here forward you could live your life in exactly the way that you wanted to? What if you forgave yourself for everything that you've ever done that you still beat yourself up about? All of it. If you let it all go. Because you're no longer that person. So if you continue to beat yourself up for something that you did years ago, you're condemning an innocent person, because you're no longer there. You've moved forward from that event. What if you forgave everybody else in your life that's done something wrong to you, or that hasn't performed in the way that you wanted? And what if you took all of that and decided that was all a lesson that was positive? You were going to take from it the positive results and lessons and guidance that it needed, and then let it all go. And then from today forward, you were going to live your life the way that would make you proud, the way that would make your kids proud, the way that would make your spouse proud. Live life the way that you wanted. It's a beautiful moment in the book, and they did a very nice job with it in the movie, where she essentially does that. And I think that the physical side of this journey that she went on was as important as the emotional side, because accomplishing a physical task like that is a great way to open yourself up to these emotional ideas. That's why so many religious people go on a fast, or they go, I mean, it makes sense to do that, because when you're in this physical challenge, it can open yourself up to these spiritual ideas. So I offer you that idea today. What if you decided today that life was happening for you and not to you, and that was going to be your belief for the rest of your days? As Ferris Bueller said, life happens pretty fast. And every now and then you got to stop and look around. We've had this great opportunity to pause our lives that go so quickly. They're so busy. We've all had a chance now to do a restart. And as we restart, we can decide what we're going to do and what we're not going to do, what we're going to focus on and what we're not going to focus on. And why not start today and have that start be that every piece of baggage that you've been holding, you're going to take those lessons and then let it go. Forgive everybody, but mostly forgive yourself. And then decide, for the rest of these days, here's how I'm going to live my life. It doesn't happen for me. It doesn't happen to me. It happens for me. Have a great Sunday, everybody. I really encourage you to read the book. I think it's a beautiful book. Most of these discovery books, I frankly haven't enjoyed all that much, but that one, it really hit me, and I think it's a great story for all of us. Have a great Sunday. I will see you tomorrow morning. We're going to get through this.